America just dropped the hammer, boom, on Iran's nuclear program. And boy, the fallout is only just beginning. Let's talk about it. And so it's been all over the news, guys, as I'm sure you're aware. We just dropped 30,000 pound, massive ordnance, penetrating bomb, MOP, on Iran's nuclear program. I'm Shermichael Singleton. Welcome to the Shermichael Singleton Show. And there's been some controversy about this, about the success of it, how effective it has been. I don't know. But let's just talk a little bit about this. And there are some people who might surprise you who are coming to Donald Trump's defense on this. According to Brett McGurk, for example, a former White House Middle East coordinator during the Biden administration who worked under both Republicans and Democrat presidents, he said, quote, "The mission was devastatingly effective." Let's take a look at what Brett had to say in a recent appearance on CNN.
Look, bottom line, this is about the best place we can be. I give extremely high marks to this national security team and President Trump for managing this crisis and given where we are. But now let's follow through. There's a chance for diplomacy here.
You know, it is not every day that you see a Democrat, particularly one who worked for Joe Biden, giving compliments to the Trump administration or Trump officials. But Brett McGurk certainly did. And so let's just break down what this all means. So when the U.S. military evaluates a strike, it does it in three phases. And we'll have these phases popping up on the screen. Phase one, did we actually hit the target? That's like the biggest question. Like, we're going to spend billions of dollars doing this. Can we hit what we're aiming to hit? Check mark. We did. Phase two, is it still functioning? From what we know, we can put a big X for that one. No, it is not still functioning at all. And then phase three, what's the strategic impact? And that's where I guess a lot of the controversy is coming. We don't really know yet what the strategic impact is. We know we caused damage. What is the extent of that damage? We're all still trying to figure it out. And so again, phase three, which is what we're in now, we're still trying to figure it out. Now, look, intel officials say the centrifuges at Fordow, that's the Iranian military place that's in the mountain, it's pretty much toast. And McGurk literally said in a quote to CNN, he said, quote, "Those munitions went down the shafts," end quote. So translation, what he's basically saying is Fordow is either probably destroyed or severely damaged. And that means Iran's nuclear ambitions just suffered a major blow. Now, the question becomes, is that major blow a couple months or is that 2 or 3 years out? That's where the outlier is. We don't know. President Trump and Israel, they're saying it's been blown into smithereens. They're a couple years out. However, there are some that are saying maybe they're a couple of months out. There was a top secret analysis that was leaked recently. It wasn't supposed to be leaked. That's a felony, by the way, that said, it was only pushed back a couple months back. But Israel is saying that's not the case at all. Israel is saying it's been pushed back a couple of years. Following what President Trump's initial remarks was that it was damaged a couple of years and it's going to take them a while to rebuild those centrifuges. But here's where, again, the politics come in. So some of the intel community is pushing back, saying it's not just obliterated, it was delayed by just a couple of months of a setback, they claim. So the question is, who's lying? Is it the commander-in-chief, President Trump, or is it the bureaucracy entrenched in Washington, who a lot of them don't like President Trump? I mean, let's just pull up the image of this facility. So if you guys look at the image here, we'll get our guys and post-edit to zoom in. But if you're looking at the image, that's the Fordow, and it's built into this military, this nuclear program, rather, is built into this military constellation that's been built into the mountains. So it's really, really, really difficult to hit this thing. But if you look at some of those images, what it showcases is that we struck the ventilation shafts, which I'm assuming our military analysts presume that those are the weakest aspects of actually trying to enter into the facility to allow the massive ordnance penetrator, MOP, that bomb that drives deep into the ground before it explodes, that was probably the easiest points of entry for those bombs to drop them, let them go as deep as it can, didn't explode. And so I think it probably is likely that it's not going to be months for Iran to restart this program. It might be indeed at least 1 to 2 years. And I think that's progress. And so while we may have set them back 1 to 2 years, this gives us an opportunity to negotiate. As McGurk said, now is time for diplomacy to prevail. And I think that's going to be the objective of President Trump here. And Israel needs to jump on board, stop launching missiles to Iran, as President Trump stated. We talked about that yesterday, and focus as much as they possibly can on trying to enter into a new negotiations, a new agreement with Iran, similar to what Obama did, but more restrictive, in that we want to probably be checking, I would say, every 3, 4, 5 months on the progress that Iran is making. And we want those checks to be unexpected. Those checks are from the International Atomic Energy Agency. They're the agency that's tasked with, the international agency that's tasked with going to countries like Iran and seeing where they are in their development of nuclear uranium enrichment program. And so if Iran wants nuclear to synergy for energy purposes, et cetera, that's fine. No big deal there. But we can't allow them to have a nuclear bomb to put it on to the end of a warhead and start threatening Israel whenever they see fit. And so I think that's the overall objective here. But look, guys, for the most part, this was a successful mission. Again, you heard McGurk, a Biden official, saying Donald Trump did something that no other president was willing to do, and to great success in terms of the efficacy of the mission. He acknowledged that those folks in the intelligence community under the Trump administration did a good thing here. And so we'll ultimately see, again, in the next couple of weeks, I think, how effective we were with dropping those missiles on those facilities. But look, if we can push it back a little bit, make Iran go to the negotiating table, let's negotiate a new, more effective deal. I'm sure Michael Singleton. Let me know in the comments below what you think about what McGurk had to say, what you think about our success in this mission overall. And do you think this will lead to better, more entrenched negotiations with Iran that will limit their willingness or their want to have a nuclear bomb while building a nuclear energy program? Two different things. I'm Michael Singleton. Let me know what you think again in the comments below. Look forward to reading your comments. Take care. I'll see you next time.